going to come up on the screen with Carole, I realised in the green room I'd stayed down in the corner. Welcome, Carole Bury. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Leslie. Yeah, lovely sunny day. It's great.
Yeah. Welcome everyone who's watching. So the last week of Art360. Sad face. But did everyone see Rowena's interview over the weekend? Fabulous. And also my interview with Will Devlin. I think you saw it, Carole, didn't you?
Yeah, I watched that this morning. Brilliant. Yeah. Lovely man. Really interesting. Lovely ethos to his whole restaurant setup.
And you'll be exhibiting with him in September. So
yes, very excited. Very excited indeed. Because the two venues are quite different.
They are.
But I'll be guided by you.
Yeah, they are quite different, quite a different vibe in each of them, but still the same ethos across the whole of the two. So that's lovely. And so this week we've got Carole. There she is. Thank goodness she showed up. And then tomorrow we've got Edith Parbarton, and Wednesday I've got Vincent Matthews. And then on Thursday, we have a pre-record of Carol Mitchell teaching me how to do watercolour. Hilarious. You must definitely show up for that one because it is hugely funny. And then on Friday, we've got our closing ceremony with Attic Teas. Have you got your tea? Have you got your tea maker?
Oh, yes. I've been using it actually as well. Yeah. It's so clever.
It's so clever.
Gadget, yeah.
Put it on a cup in order to get your tea. You don't pour it. Put it on.
It's really clever, isn't it?
Yeah. So I've got that ready. And anyone who's joining us, you don't have to have the teas. You can just join in with your own tea, but it'd be better if you have the teas. Make sure you have a kettle close by because you'll need to obviously make all the different teas. So don't put yourself in your studios and then go, oh, but I've got no kettle.
Oh, that's the point, yeah.
You'll need a kettle close by to make the boiling water. So we're live streaming onto Facebook and onto YouTube. Hello, everyone who is watching us here on Crowdcast, saying hello all in the sidebar. And anyone who's got questions on Facebook or YouTube, please put them in the comments and Sophie will pick them up and bring them over here. Or she'll give you a link if you want to hop over from there and join us live. Oh, very exciting. Very exciting. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you Carole's website. I think that's the first thing I'll do. That's what I'll do. I've made the decision, Carole. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is show everyone your website. There we go. So we're going to give the screen. There we are. So we can see, so everyone can get a feel for your beautiful work and the range of work that you do. So you do fine art textiles, which are the feathers here, and also this one here on the left.
That's the seabirds. When I was drawing and working with the seabirds, they sort of they're swooping around. And interesting, some of the work that I did for those, there was we were talking to one of the artists last week, I think, about framing transparent work.
Yes.
And it was one of the box frames that I had. They were circular pieces and they needed light behind them. And textiles, you never want to trap textiles between two plates of glass because the whole thing about textiles is that they're slightly wrinkly and, you know, that's part of them. So my very clever framer, he floated it, the piece on a sheet of glass. And that sheet of glass was then put sandwiched into a box frame. So it sat. So there was about ½ an inch underneath, then a plate of glass with the work sitting on top of it, and then another ½ an inch with the front piece of glass. So they were double. And we got them quite big, but they were really heavy. We got to about 60, 70 centimetres square.
That's the
thing. It was a lovely way of hanging them. Yeah, really nice.
It's really heavy. So you floated the textile on glass as opposed to
glass, and that but then got sort of sandwiched, floated into a box frame.
Kind of suspended.
It was. That's the word. Suspended. Yeah.
So that's textiles. And then the other part of your practice is drawing.
Yes, it all starts with drawing. I can't do very much about drawing, so I'll draw and draw and draw until I know a subject really, really well, and then that's when the little textile-y thoughts start coming out. So the textiles come from the drawings, which I think today is probably what I'm going to be just showing a little bit more about.
Talk about and show a bit more. Yeah, lovely. So that's Carole's website. And so if you're interested in any of Carole's work while you're watching or afterwards, and you want to contact her and buy anything or commission work, Carole works to commission as well, then go to her website, or you can go to the Pure Art360 magazine, which I'm going to show you in a minute, and contact her. It has a contact button right there. So, and you're also on Instagram, aren't you, Carole? So
yes, and I tend to use Instagram more than Facebook. I feel more comfortable with Instagram. Occasionally I'll post and it'll go to Facebook and it'll go to Twitter, but out of choice it'll be just Instagram.
I've just
brought
that drawing up because it's behind you, so people can get a feel for what we're going to be talking about and what we're going to be looking at on your walls in your studio. So that's one of the pieces that we're going to be looking at particularly. And you have a very distinctive way of making marks, and they're very stitchily. People say it's very painted. Yeah. Your drawing style is very stitchily. I don't know whether that's a word, but it is now.
It is now.
Very stitchily. Yes, I'm going to look at that, but I'm just going to show everyone your page in the Art360 magazine as well, so that if they want to contact you and that's the route they go in, then they'll also know that they're on the right page. There you go. So that's your page, and that shows again across the entire spectrum of what you do, drawing and textiles, and all your contact details there as usual on the left hand side. You've also got a little video, introduction video there if people want to watch. They just click on the little arrow and you can see it. So yeah, that's how you get in contact with Carole if you're loving her work. DM her on Instagram, Carole Bury, or go to her website and just go on the contact page. So I'm going to give you the full screen so people can really get an appreciation of your studio. So what have you been working on most recently? Because you said you go into everything from drawing.
Yes. So to start with, it was a circular walk that I was doing, and I made a series of drawings about these different stages on this circular walk. And these two here, I've had these framed up, and that's the one that was on the website. So this is one of them, and just these lovely arable fields that at every time of the year there's different bits showing. There we go. That's okay, isn't it?
Yeah. The computer screen is not kind to drawing.
No, it isn't, is it?
No, because it's trying to. It's like our brains. Its brain is trying to work out the language and then tell you and show you what to see. So when did you start the circular walk, and when was this particular drawing done?
So I started the whole series pretty well a year ago. It took a while. We were just doing the walk, and then I kept thinking, oh well, I'll do some drawings. And then this one was probably, it was later on. It must have been June, July, something like that. It maybe even August. I can't quite remember now. And there was a lot of them that I was doing. This particular valley, you go down a really steep hill, and then you get this view looking. And then there's this area here, this deciduous and conifer trees. There's usually deer, and you can usually see some deer. And then this, as the year went on, this got longer. There was also meadow flowers in it. And then the crops were just getting bigger and bigger, and those lines were getting less and less defined. Just a really, I draw, and I will make sketches of that proportion, and I'll change where my different angles are. Very much. I'm going to put this one back on the wall.
Yeah, because your arm's going to get very tired.
Very tired. A little bit further along.
Do you actually do them there and then, or do you make a preliminary sketch in the field?
I make some sketches. I'll take a tiny little sketchbook out with me and just make some very, very rough notes. It might be just words. It might be just the angles. This particular one it's a birch tree copse. It's quite a new copse, and it's got the cow parsley at the bottom and then these new lime green leaves. And it's like a cathedral. It just holds you. It's like going to the one in Barcelona. It just is so silent apart from the birds twittering away. And it's a stunning place, a really stunning place.
An amazing shaft of light coming through the
It definitely does. And so I drew that one lots and lots of times, and it really altered because I wanted this area to be quite dark and those leaves, and as though there was quite a lot of detail there. But then I just kept taking this away. In one of them, I just rubbed it all out completely and then just put them back. So I worked with pencils. I have been working with pencils more this year. I do like charcoal and I do like dip pen. But this whole series, I decided to keep to pencils. So I use 2B, 4B, 6B, and sometimes 8B. Faber-Castell are my chosen pencils. Just love them. I think it's the green actually and the gold. On them. If I'm rubbing out at all, I don't use a putty rubber. I use quite a hard rubber. I like the hard rubbers. And then I've got a really soft brush just to knock any rubbings off. So that's my tools. And then I've got some quite nice little pencil sharpeners. And I've got one of those, which is I bought it secondhand. I've had that. I probably had that 40 years. And I bought it secondhand. And I bought it for £5, which was a lot of money then, in a secondhand shop in Streatham. And I love it. I've loved it.
The only thing is they eat your pencils because you just
do. So I'm going to just turn you around because I've got here an easel. I'm not going to draw today. I did think about it and I thought, no, I'm going to show some drawings
on the easel.
So this is the route down to the arable fields. You go down here. So again, this is sort of springtime last year. I didn't finish it till June, July time.
That's a lot bigger.
Yeah, it is. So this wasn't part of the same series. This one, well, it's funny actually, because this one I'd started 2 years ago and put it away. And when I started doing these, I thought, I know, I've got one of those drawings somewhere. So I got this out and decided I would finish it. And that was quite strange, actually, working on a drawing that I'd started and my marks were different. So it sort of became a new drawing. So that is just pencil.
That's just pencil and rubber. And so these are the starting points for everything. So even the textiles start off as drawings.
Yeah, and you can see there's some quite patterny type marks. I like there being a route through.
Yeah.
I mean, when we first start drawing, we're told there should be a vanishing point and there's all these sort of perspective things. But I tend to have quite a few vanishing points. And this one,
wow.
Again, got a lot of much looser marks.
Those real stitching marks, aren't they? Again. Yeah.
This is a really thin paper. And actually, from the back, I can actually feel where my pencil's been gouging in. So I like the idea that a little bit when you go for a walk, you know where you're going, but you get distracted. So you might hear a bird or you might just catch a glimpse of something. We've got quite a few deer around by us. And at this time of year, you can spot the hares as well, which is beautiful, really lovely to see. So there's always a change of viewpoint. And I quite like that in my drawings, I'm going to be changing a viewpoint. So yes, I want you to go through the valley. I want you to go that way, but I'd like you to look elsewhere. And in the more recent pieces that I've been doing of some gardens, that is definitely what I was trying to do, was to change the typical viewpoint of what you would expect. So they're more, I would say, there's blocks of pattern, and I want you to weave in and out. I want you to be excited and to find some different things to look for.
And you've got some writing on there. Do you often write on your pictures?
Again, that's been something this year that I've done. I can't say that I've really done it before. And yes, definitely. And those ones, when I took them to my framer, it's my equivalent of your Bev, at Edge Framing, we decided just to cut it off, and he's tucked it in the back so that if they were ever then taken to unframed, those notes are there for the person that buys them. So there are little notes. There are little notes about what the day was like, what I was feeling. This was in June, and it was actually, I lost a friend that day, and that was, and the marks are completely different to the day before and the day after. Totally different. I was sad, I was angry, I was, like we've had those emotions, haven't we, this year?
Yeah, they've been very those emotions have been very on the surface. They've been very evident to us, and we're like a bit more in tune with our own selves. We've listened to ourselves a bit more during this period of time, so we probably know ourselves a bit better. I love the words. I love the fact that you include the words. That's really, for me, part of the whole beauty of the piece. But for others it would be different, wouldn't it? I suppose I'm a word person, aren't I? And you've got different paper, so you've got a thin paper and a thick paper.
I normally like drawing on a really hot press watercolor paper, which is what this one is, and most of my drawings are on that. But this whole series of lockdown, I decided to use it was a big A2 pad of a lightweight cartridge paper, something that you would normally use perhaps if you were doing some monoprinting and you wanted something to pat your monoprint or whatever. It's more of a utility paper, I think. But saying that, I actually started really liking using it. And so I'm in my third pad now, and I've done loads, absolutely loads. I started drawing I have started my practice in a completely different way. I haven't been using a sketchbook particularly. My sketchbook has been more note-taking and that sort of journal type of, because sketchbooks are for all sorts of things, aren't they? They're not just for sketching in. So they've been for pattern making. One had little squared paper, so I've been just doing all sorts of almost a bit like quilts. I'd done a quilt course over Christmas, and that was quite interesting to do. But my sketches, I've started. This is a warm-up one. So I've just divided my paper up into 6 pieces, 6 squares, and I've written at the top 10 to 15 minutes each. So that's what it is. I've been looking at my drawings of trees, photographs of trees, going in the garden and looking at trees, and these are my warm-up exercises to get my hand working, to get my eye looking, to get myself in the zone, to get out of the house, stop doing home things and to start drawing. So I will cover a sheet of paper with these sort of warm-up exercises. So
is that something you always do when you go into the studio then?
Not always. It's my aim to do it. Sometimes I'm already in the zone because I'm in a drawing and I'll just get straight into it. Yeah. But if I'm just wanting to, a bit like, if you're training to do a run or something, you've got to do those warm-up exercises.
It's really interesting because we were having this conversation this morning and I was really? Bizarre, that we were saying it's a great way to get you unstuck. It's what athletes would just immediately go out and do a run. They would do some stretches and warm-ups.
So that's that one. And I've written on what I was listening to. And I was listening to The Gathering by Toby Hay, who's a Welsh guitarist. He plays a 12-string guitar and really, really beautiful music. And I'd obviously really enjoyed listening to it because I've written it down. So it's a bit when you see these reels, isn't it, on Instagram. and it comes up with, oh, it's Sigur Rós or it's something else, and you think, oh, I don't know how it does it. I haven't done a reel.
There you are. You can do a reel of that, and then
Totally, yeah.
and then use that music. So, you listen to music often in the studio?
Yes, I do. But I am a Radio 4 girl. I do like Radio 4 as well. Sometimes it's on and I get to the end of the morning and I haven't a clue what's been on because I haven't really been listening to it.
No, it's
other
just
times, yeah. So yeah, I am Radio 4 girl and sometimes Radio 2 as well. So this one, I'm going to pin this one up. This is another of my sketchbooks, but it's not a sketchbook. It's I'm actually saying that I've been using pencil. This is not pencil. This is, and it wasn't at the easel. This one was laid on the table. I stand to draw. I don't sit down to draw at all. I never sit down to draw. So all the drawings I've shown you so far, I've been standing at the easel. And I've got 2 easels. I've got 2 studio easels, and I'll have maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 drawings on the go at the same time. This one I had on the table, and again I divided it up into the 12 squares, and it's marker pens, Sharpies, what sort of things was it?
And that's grey paper. You've chosen a grey paper this time.
Well, I work, when I'm not furloughed, I work in an artist material shop, and when we have the beautiful watercolour papers delivered from R.K. Burt in London, they come with an acid-free card to protect the paper, and then they're polythened. And we got in touch with R.K. Burt and said, what do we do with this? And he said, it's lovely to draw on. So I thought, right, I'll give that a try. So it's A1. Acid free, and it's great. So sometimes it's a dark grey, sometimes it's a light grey. It's just great. It's really absorbent for things like inks and washes and stuff like that. But because it's not expensive, there's something about it that it makes you work in a slightly different way to than if it was a piece of Fabriano Artistica paper at what, £4, £5 pop or something.
More playful, maybe.
Yeah, you can be. So I've used big calligraphy sort of brushes on it, more round brushes on it. Those sort of marker pens. What's that? They're Heading 2000. Just a nice bullet nib. Other brushes, dip pens. I've got my dip pens. I never leave my dip pens out because it's so easy. You can jab yourself on them, and that's it. That's the end of a dip pen. Reed pens as well. They're really nice, and I've made my own bamboo pens. They're really fun to make, and you get these sort of really lovely scratchy marks. So these, it was a commission that I've just recently finished, but this was the starting point. The client actually wanted pencil drawings, but this was my way of loosening up and finding the viewpoint that I wanted for his garden drawings. And
so if you were doing a commission, is this the way you would normally approach it? Do lots of sketches to begin with?
Yes, definitely. And it was a really, really lovely one to do as well. I mean, the garden, I knew the garden, and it was so it was easy because I had a link to it as well.
Yeah, presumably you have to be careful of that if you're painting or producing something that you're familiar with, to not just do the obvious.
I think that's where your professional person comes in there, where okay, I am the artist, so I'm going to take away all the emotion. But there's all that sort of muscle memory of that place.
Yeah, absolutely.
That got put into it.
Yeah.
So that's been really nice to do. And we've got some gardens close to us. So it's a small walled garden. And Ronnie and I went there yesterday. And we've been there every time. And every time we come away, and there's something new and something exciting about the place. But yesterday there was this shady area. It's got a medlar tree. It's a really old type of tree, and It's got some really interesting shaped fruits on it. Not at this time of year, obviously, but underneath it was really dark, dappled sunlight and shadowy, and there was lots of hellebores, but there was these pink tulips, and they were such a surprise. They were such a beautiful pink, and they weren't tulip shaped. They fanned out slightly. I don't know. They probably got a proper name, and it took us both by surprise, and we just, it was such a feast, and that's all we remembered coming home.
So will we be seeing those appearing in a drawing near you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's only about a 5-mile drive, and so this week I'm just going to go down and do some drawings there because I've got nothing else that now needs to be done. I've got this commissioned out. They're going to the framers tomorrow for this customer, and I've got some days for me. So yes, I'm going off to Cerney House Gardens, which is near Cirencester.
So when you're creating bodies of work, because that's an interesting thing, isn't it? You said, you know, you've been working to a commission and that's now done and that's off to the framers. So, and you've recently been taken a body of work to Godalming, to Lingwood Samuel Gallery. And then you've done the miniature exhibition at Clayhill Arts. How does this all come about? Do you work to the idea, or, you know, someone says, I want your work in this exhibition, or are you just making all the time and then...
The Godalming one came about completely. They'd seen the work that I'd kept posting this year. And Lesley, all year you've been telling us to put things on Instagram. So that's what I've been doing. And then I suddenly got a DM from them and then an email from them. They'd looked me up, found out how to email me, and emailed me and offered me a place in this exhibition, which should have started just after Christmas, but obviously couldn't. And they were so excited about this exhibition, they put it back to February. Still didn't happen. And then they put it back, and we delivered the work 2 weeks ago, and it started just in the last couple of weeks. So there's myself with just my textiles on the wall. There's a painter from Yorkshire. And there's 3 ceramic artists, 3 or 4 ceramic artists, and it's got a really lovely flow to it. The ladies that own the gallery, Caroline and Margaret, sisters I think they are, they had a very clear vision of what they wanted in this exhibition, and it just flows. It's beautiful.
So they sourced from existing work. You didn't make work for that.
So I didn't. I know I didn't make work for it, but it is all the work that I've been making this year. So it is a substantial body of work that I've taken down there. And
there
really
you are,
exciting.
Everyone. Listen to Lesley.
Yes, definitely.
Work on Instagram. Do lots of lives. Do all of this kind of thing. You just never know where it's going to lead you. So yeah, they've taken an existing body of work. The miniature exhibition, did you make uniquely for that? Or
I did, but they are small versions of, that's how I started it. They were small versions of the work that has gone down to Godalming. So I made some tiny pieces. This was one of them. This on the magazine page, I've got a black and white piece, which was I've called it excavations, because it was looking at the fields and what can you put up in the fields. Where I live, there was a lot of Roman activity. So you can go into Cirencester and anywhere around this area, and you might pick up a little tessellé or some Roman. So you never know what you might pick up. And also there's a lot of limestone. And so you might pick up some fossils and there's always stones coming to the surface. And so this is where the excavation idea came from. So this little diddy one, this was the prototype that I made for the miniature exhibition down at Clayhill Arts in Somerset. So this was one of them. And then another one was again the little folded lines. So they're little pieces of paper. Some have got marker pen marks on them. each one has got a line of stitching. Let me get something dark to go behind this.
Because we know what this all
Yeah,
does.
there you go. You can see the line of stitching.
Yeah, line of
so
stitching.
line of stitching on them. So each little group, there's 3 pieces of paper, and then there's a line of stitching, the line of machine stitching, holding it onto
The backing.
The backing. You can't see that, can you? It's too light. Yeah. So there's that one. That was a.
It's like a little tiny book, doesn't it, for a map?
Yeah, yeah. And then there was a tiny little ring. So that is like my rings.
Oh, you're going to have to move that around until the camera says we're allowed to look at it.
So, yeah, that's one long piece of paper that has been pleated up and caught with little stitches. It's not going to catch it.
It's not going to catch.
It's not going to catch it. And then the other one was folded paper. And at the same time that I was making these and getting these down to Clare Hill Arts, and all of these were fitted in. Each artist was asked to put in 4 pieces, a proposal for 4 pieces, and you were allocated 4 little compartments in these old letterpress drawers. And there's 10 drawers of them, and in each piece there's probably about, I think it was about 180 in each drawer, and there was 10 drawers. So it was a lot of work. And they did it brilliantly. They put it all online, and they ran the exhibition for 2 weeks, and they had really interesting talks that you could sign up for free, all to do with correspondence, letter writing, people that use letterpress in their art. Very, very interesting. There was the Correspondence School from Bruton. There was the letterpress, the Letter Writing Society. Very interesting things. So there's also Louisa took part in this, and Susan D'Souza as well. So there was the 3 of us from Pure all taking part in this exhibition. And then they had a filmmaker, they had a photographer do beautiful photographs for it all. And it just shows what an arts centre can do. They applied for awards, they applied for Crafts Council and Arts Council money, I think it was. And they put together an amazing package for the artists and for people wanting to view it. So very interesting.
So that work's come back to you now, has it?
No, you gave it. You gave it. There was no money involved. Okay. You gave your proposal, and you sent 4 pieces, and you agreed that they would keep it.
Wow! So it goes into their collection. How lovely!
Yeah.
Lovely. And how's that? And how have you? Other ways have you benefited? Do you think from being in that exhibition?
There was some really interesting conversations with Louisa about it. Wasn't there, Louisa? I don't know if Louisa's watching today. I don't know. But we had quite a few little chats going on about how you're getting on. And we were both, it was tiny, and it was a change of scale. It was in January, and it was cold, and it was just a really great thing to do. It was something quite positive to do as well, where everything else seemed to be falling down. The exhibition in Godalming, I didn't know whether that was going to happen. There was a lot of things just up in the air, really. So it's something really good to work towards.
And that's the thing that artists need, isn't it? A purpose.
Yeah, definitely, yes. And while I was doing these and making these, and this one is made with this, it's a Chinese paper, sumi paper, sometimes it's called. It's really soft, and it takes washes of ink, Indian ink, or brushwork of Indian ink. It's quite absorbent, so it's a lovely paper to draw on, really lovely, but it's also really lovely to sew. So I had strips of this, and then I was just putting a line of stitching through, and I chose to use it dark grey or black. So the piece that I've just been working on, no, I'll come to that in a minute. These have got black because it seemed to be the reverse of the ones with the spots.
Yes.
So that was black with white spots, and then this one was white, but you get these little flecks of black just come in.
Yeah, in the background. Yeah.
Just
they look a bit
very
like
tactile.
Legos. They look amazing.
Yeah, really. And then last year, I sent some work to a gallery in Australia, and it was for making brooches. So I sent a couple of my tiny little feathers to this exhibition and won second prize, which was really exciting. So this year I thought, oh, I'll send something else this year. And as I was making these for Clay Hill Arts for the Correspondence Collective, I thought there must be a way that I can make one of these into brooches. And so I got in touch with my friend who's a jewellery artist, and she suggested the type of fixings to use, which I could just buy, from Amazon or wherever, for the jewellery fixings place. And I sent them off. So that starts on Wednesday out in
So you made
New
some
South
of
Wales.
these, you made
Yeah, so the one was the little pleated one, which you can't see, I'm really sorry. And one was the little books.
Yeah.
So they are that size with a little
little pin on.
Mm.
Oh, good luck then. Do we know
Yeah.
prizes? We don't know yet.
Yeah, you can vote for it. I'll send the link to
Oh,
it,
we can vote for it.
then you can vote for it.
What is that called then? What's the...
It's Timeless Textiles is the gallery. It's in Jackson, New South Wales.
Jack.
Right. And it's called Broaching the Subject. And they've just sent me a link today that you can vote for it.
Broaching the Subject. Okay.
I don't know if Susan put in. I told Susan about it because we were both making miniatures. So I don't know if Susan's watching today, but
yeah, I think Susan is watching. Yeah, there's quite.
Yeah,
it takes me a little while to whiz through who's actually on. Yes, Susan's watching. Susan, let us know in the sidebar if you submitted some work, and we'll encourage people to vote for you. So you won last year, or you came second last year. So we need a winner this year.
Yeah. So I was given a cash prize, and they were hoping that I was in Australia and I could go to one of their courses. And I said, well, no, I'm in the UK. And so I bought this beautiful scarf, and hand-printed scarf. It's just absolutely stunning.
Susan says she's not in it this time. So all votes for Carole.
Yes.
Next time, Susan, I want to see you submitting next time, because your work would be absolutely perfect.
Yes.
A
little weavings that she's been doing.
Yeah,
little tiny weavings. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Her work
but it's always worth looking at. And how I came across this gallery was because I followed an Irish textile artist, and I loved her work. She was working with birds when I was working with birds, and she worked to a really large scale and really interesting. And I found that she was having an exhibition out in Australia in this gallery. This must be about 2 or 3 years ago. So I've kept an eye on what this gallery is doing. And that's how it came about that I found out about this open competition for making brooches. And it seemed, why not?
And it's perfect. And it doesn't matter. It's tiny and light. You can sell those to Australia, can't you? Whereas a big artwork would be a little bit too much, but a small thing. So again, it is about, when you're interacting on social media, really making sure it's not quantity, it's quality, making sure you follow the right people and that you're looking out for things that interest you and really engaging with the things that interest you.
Definitely.
So you were going to show us something over here. And I'm saving that.
So this one, I thought, this is going to tie in with some of the other pieces that I've been doing about these repeated units. I tend to do 9, and they are like the one that's in the magazine, the one with the black and the white spots. I've done other ones. So I've made this one. So this one has actually got 16 of these little pieces.
Are they 3D? Is that what we're looking at?
Yeah, it's 3D. Let's see. Ooh, there we go.
There we go. You can see 3D.
So you can just see these little black spots.
Little black spots, yeah, in the reverse.
Do like repeated units, but I like them that they're not quite perfect. They're not the same. So there's something, they are repeated, but they're individual as well. So each of those I made, like this little one, and then I sewed those onto one whole piece of paper that size, and then all of that was then stitched onto
Can't see
that piece. Yeah.
And do you hand stitch that, or are you machine?
It's all hand stitched, actually. Yeah, all hand stitched.
On its edge again, because that's when you can see it, when it's on its edge. Go up and round.
There we go.
Yeah, you can see it when it's on its edge. It's because your studio is so bright, Carole, but that's good because we don't want your eyes from all this.
It's funny because I've got really big windows at both ends, but I've got the blinds down. I've got 2 velux and the sun's just come round, so I think that's why this keeps going dark. But I haven't got blinds in these, so yeah, that's really new. And I think there's going to be another one. I'm going to do another one to go with that. Yeah. So I don't know how Southeast open studios and work, but in Cheltenham we have it every other year, and we always have a like a taster exhibition, and it's in a community gallery, and we stick to, you can put a piece in that's 12 inches by 12 inches, and that is then people can go along to that and go, oh yes, I like that person's work, I'll go and see their studio or wherever they're working.
That's such a good idea.
Yeah, really good. We did it last year for the first time, actually put in a size on it, so that it just gave a little bit of continuity to all the different types of genre of work. And I'm thinking that, so this one will fit into a 12-inch frame, a box frame. So I'll make 2 of these.
You'll be exhibiting with us in September at the Curlew and the Small Holding. Will it survive?
Yeah, because it starts. It's something like about the 3rd week in September. It's 2 weekends in a week, so it finishes at the beginning of October. So it's going to be, that's my next thing to work toward. Would be to working towards open studios, which I'm pretty sure I know what I'm going to be doing for that as well, which is quite a new thing this year. And the Curlew and Small Holding.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, really exciting. Yeah, so that's my 2 big pushes
for this year.
Yeah, so that's that one. How are we doing for time? Okay.
You're absolutely fine. It would be really good if you can show us, before we go on to audience questions, I'd really like you to just go through your, the work on this far side.
Yeah, let's pop
the feathers.
The feathers.
I love the feathers. I'm now the proud owner of quite a few Carole feathers. I've got quite a lot, haven't I now?
I know. This is the 3rd version I've made of this one, and I just love making it. So one is with Godalming, one is at the Royal West Academy down in Bristol, which I went to see last week. My first exhibition, which I really got very giddy about going, and go to a real exhibition. They've done really remarkably well. Felicity's got some work in there. Felicity Flutter. Forgive me if there's somebody else that's in there and I don't know. But I know Felicity. So I saw Felicity's piece, which is really exciting. And they've done a really remarkable job of keeping it open and getting the public to go in to see it. So that's open till May the 9th. And they're online.
Do you have to book a ticket? Do you have to book
Yes, you do. Just a time slot.
Yeah.
So when I went last week, it's so safe. You just felt you could walk around, you could take photographs, and there's 4 beautiful galleries just full of drawings and paintings.
Wow.
And I've got a piece like this and one of the pleated pieces.
So if you could talk us through how you approach these pieces.
And if you watch my little video that's on the magazine page, I'm actually making it. I'm actually stitching some pieces on and going through. So there's a smaller one. There we go. You can just see the gold
tips
on them, and each of the feathers have got oh, it's really weird with light, isn't it? They've got some markings on them, so they've been cut out. I cut them out with scissors, and I'll cut them probably 2 or 3 at a time. I can just about hold on to 2 or 3 sheets of paper to cut them out, but then I'll trim them and just curl the spine a little bit.
Is there a reason why you go for that shape of feather?
It's based on the flight feather of the swan, of the Buick swan. So you get the small feathers, which are their ones that keep them warm, which are the little downy ones. And then you get the really long flight feathers, but this is the shape of the flight feather, but it's almost it's called the secondary feather. So it's not the really long feathers that you get, it's the next one down. But it is a really lovely shape. And I will fold them, just nip them just about there, not all the way along. And then I've got a little stiletto, a little pointy.
I've had visions of a shoe appearing there.
Yeah. It's called a stiletto, and I think that's what shoes were named after. So in the olden days, if you had a stiletto knife, that's what you could poke people
poke things with.
But in embroidery and leather work, it's very pointy tool. So I will put holes so that because it's not like fabric where you can just keep going in and out. So I need to have holes. And on the back of this, I've actually got a double row of holes. So I'll
so you go. Yeah, that's how you attach them.
Yeah.
So the holes are in the paper and in the feather.
Yeah. So I'm coming up with the needle. I'm going back down with the needle, going back up, back down, knotting it from behind so it doesn't come undone, and then bringing the threads to the front.
Which is why you end up with the threads at the front.
Yeah. So
and do you use any, because the feathers look like they've got a slight colour on them?
Yes, so the paper is cream, and then I've used a marker pen, one of these graphic designers used to use them years ago, where you get the like a chisel.
Yes, I know.
You can overlap them to get
a certain name they're called, isn't there?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
I definitely had a set at one point. I think it begins with a C, but someone will tell us, I'm sure.
Yeah, someone will tell us, won't they? And so there's lines. I've done lines all the way along, broad lines of colour, and then there's a thin line of the cream paper showing up. So you just have to go and see them.
Sounds really therapeutic.
Totally. See, drawing, you're thinking all the time. With these, you can be thinking about other things.
Yeah,
because a lot of it is actually just very therapeutic. Just saying.
Yeah,
so
very mindful.
There they all are.
They all are.
You can see the lines.
Yes, you can.
You can just see the lines. Don't know how we've done that.
Sometimes the light comes and goes in your studio, and if it goes a bit darker, then we can see it. Yeah.
But that gold is lovely, and it is real gold leaf. So I'll use a brush. Gone again.
There you are. You can see the ends.
Just a brush and put some size. I use acrylic size. And then I put the gold leaf on that, and that's lovely to do. And then you can put more gold leaf on. Gold leaf sticks to gold leaf, so the more you put on, the stronger and richer the gold becomes. And it
you always use gold, no other colours.
No, and it's gold leaf I use. Maybe sometime it's silver I might try, but I do like the gold. I like that richness. And I think it's because when I first started using it, I was looking at early medieval paintings that were using gold leaf, things like Duccio and Giotto, and they were using pigmented paint, and then there would be gold leaf on those. So there's a lot of egg tempera on walls that have got gold leaf on them, and there's something very special about it. using the gold.
It's very true. It feels very honest and traditional, doesn't it? It feels very, yes, relevant. You mentioned egg tempura. Do you use other things then, other traditional methods?
No, it's just the inspiration from those periods of painting that I'm quite intrigued at. I was interested how your artist the other day, Richard, was talking about colour. Hayes, isn't it? Richard Hayes. How he was talking about colour in a really interesting way, because he was talking about his layers of colours, and some come forward and some come backwards, and he was doing some quite small ones, which are actually just using that interplay of colours and that recessing and coming forward. And I thought, oh, that is a sort of colour that I could try and maybe understand.
That would be
interesting
because your palette is very monochrome for the most part. For Carole Bury to venture into colour,
I know. That might be a way that I could do
would
it.
be had.
But then it brings in a whole new feel. I mean, I just don't feel as though I've done enough of monochrome and shadows and that interplay of light and. But there was something what Richard was saying that was, that's quite
inspiring.
Interesting. Yeah, so I shall have to go and see his work when I did message him.
His work is stunning.
It's
stunning. I can't wait to see. Well, hopefully by the time we get through to like October for the next event period, so the next Art360, hopefully some of that will be real life exhibition. It won't be an art fair because we can't risk it. But I think we will have exhibition involved in the next Art360. So Louise was saying these feathers look gorgeous in our special frames, Lesley. The gold is just beautiful. Yes, I know. And it's interesting because you're saying about colour, because Vincent, who I'm going to be speaking to on Wednesday, was always very much black and white, but he's introduced some colour during his lockdown world. So it'd be really interesting to talk to Vincent about that and why he's colouring and how that's going to stay in his practice. So,
I think it would be all very much more considered as well, because a bit like Vincent and Louisa, if Louisa was to use colour, because we're so happy with monochrome, it's going to be, should I or shouldn't I? Or it might be just a colour. I mean, I love that salmon and that turquoise that is from the 14th century, that was used a lot in the 14th century. I love those colours. So it might be just something, actually could be just something like that. Yeah. But then I've been looking at all the springtime drawings that David Hockney has been doing this last year in Normandy, and colour just pours out of him, and
but that's different practice, isn't it? It's but as you say, considered and relevant to your practice. And it'll be interesting to hear what Vincent has to say about the use of colour, because it's very considered in the way he's doing it. The very first exhibition I have booked to go and see is the Hockney at the Royal Academy. Yeah, I booked my time slot. Yes, in May
too, definitely.
Thank you so much, Carole. It's been really fascinating. There are some questions. We may have covered some of these as we go along, so I don't know. But so Susan D'Souza is saying, Carole, do you create textile work from these drawings or sketch before you create your textiles, or are both activities separate?
I don't tend to really draw what I'm going to do a textile piece. I know what it's going to do. I think I'm already knowing it, because it comes so much from the drawings. I almost know what's going to happen. There were some feathers that I was doing at one time. I was drawing feathers in black and white. This is a couple of years ago, these ones. So these are dip pen, and that was looking at shapes of feathers from real feathers drawings, and that was helping me work out the shapes of the feathers that I was going to cut, but I knew what I wanted to do with them. So I don't tend to have really any drawings out of what I'm going to do. It's there.
They're quite separate activities, really. You thought the spots were further back in there?
Yes. That's the woodpecker. The
yes.
lesser spotted woodpecker is that one.
Yeah.
And they're like negative shapes. They're just really interesting because you don't see the outside. Your eye makes the shape, doesn't it?
Yes. It's like that strange writing when the words aren't spelled correctly. You're
or it misses the vowels out. I can't
yes.
think of it. Yeah. But yeah, and really interesting to do. And there is calligraphy because I do quite a bit.
That one there. That one that you're looking at now. Look. No, there with the spots.
That one.
No, back. That one.
That one.
Top of the page.
Yes. Yeah.
That is very much the spots starting their life, isn't it? The start of the journey. Amazing. Incredible. I love the black. I love the white on the black as well, Fran. I think that is really interesting.
It's good, isn't it? And that's I tested so many white inks, and it was the acrylic ink that you get the little squeezy thing on. It was the best white. It was the most opaque and the easiest to work with. It was lovely to work with. Yeah.
So Fran is asking, do you use fixatives on your drawing?
Yes, I do. There was somebody the other day. Who was it that was using hairspray?
that was Sophie.
Yeah, Sophie wasn't it?
Sophie.
No, there is a colour to that, and it does change your work. So no, I use a proprietary, proper artist quality fixative, and yeah, I do. I have been trialling spraying with a diffuser soya milk. But I haven't been doing as much charcoal, so I've not continued with those experiments. But there's an artist that works at Western College, Kate Butcher, I think her name is Kate, and she uses that, and she's got some quite interesting YouTubes of her using that as well. She does amazing landscapes with charcoal.
Yeah, I think all of these things, when done purposefully, Sophie's incredibly experimental, and so therefore it works with her practice. She's pushed the boundaries of everything. But others who want to keep it is just used as a fixative, then you need to...
Yeah, and I think I'm very keen on making sure that my work, if somebody's going to buy my work, I don't want it to be altering for them. And I would hate to think that I've sprayed something on that maybe in 10 years' time it's gone yellow. Whereas I know with a good quality, artist quality fixative, it's not going to be yellow. So that it's going to stay the same as when they bought it. And that, for me, is very important.
Yeah. Whereas someone like, Tracy Emin or Damien Hirst, they deliberately embed some changes, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Each artist has to approach this subject with their own intention. So Edith says, will you keep the writing as part of the picture, not hidden by the frame? Are you going to...
it's a possibility. At the moment, they're too personal, and I'm not sure if I want that to be part of it, but I think there's a bit of mileage in what you're saying, Edith. Maybe.
I think there's some mileage in it, but as you said, you've got to have done it intentionally for that purpose.
And the minute you do put words on a piece, that's what people tend to look at, and that influences the way that they're looking at the work as well.
Yeah.
So if that's part of it, so that has to be fed into it, really. So really it's interesting, isn't it? Because I do a lot of writing, I do a lot of calligraphy. That's sort of like bread and butter money for me, doing pieces of calligraphy.
So it'd be interesting whether that does evolve into, but as you say, by putting words, you're immediately starting to define.
You're making a different conversation.
Yeah, you're starting to find some of the story for the viewer, aren't you? You're giving them, you're influencing the story that they're bringing to it, and then that might be intentional, and therefore then that's great, isn't it? Again, it's just, is that right for your practice? Oh, I like this one, Fran. Do you frame your warm-up squares?
No, because I don't think they're anything.
Oh, they're amazing. You should frame the warm-up ones for sure. They're great.
I'll think about that, Fran.
Yeah, they are, Fran. Fran's got her eye on the prize. And what's the name of the gallery, which I already put in the sidebar?
Linwood Samuel.
Yeah,
Samuel. It's right on that. It's on Church Street. It's a really old building, and she's painted it all in a really interesting grey, not just a black and white grey. It's sort of like a greeny grey. It's really beautiful. It's lovely. Yeah, really nice. And apparently, there's a really nice ice cream shop just down the road. So.
I'm going to quickly share the screen for everyone so you can see the gallery, because I think if you're in that area, Godalming, Surrey, isn't it, area, then, do go along and have a look at Carole's work. Just need to bring
and on Instagram, she's been putting some really lovely shots of it. Yeah, it's lovely. It's a really lovely.
So you'll know what you're looking for on the high street at 12 Church Street. It's always handy when someone puts their address right on the...
Isn't it good? Yeah. Their Instagram, which is Linwood Samuel, they've got some lovely images of the work. Yeah, quite interesting.
Beautiful. Looks like a beautiful gallery. It reminds me a lot of the gallery that Louisa ran in Ticehurst, actually, the Artichoke, with the mixture of the ceramics, quite a heavy ceramics base to it. There you go. So yeah, if anyone's in the Godalming area, please do go along and see Carole's work and take some pictures.
Yes.
Post it on Instagram, or even better, take a video.
Yes.
And post it on Instagram. And don't forget to vote.
Yes.
It's been brilliant, Carole. Thank you so much. I could literally keep talking to you for about another 3 hours, but we would run out of voice by then. And also, we've got to save some for next time.
Yeah, maybe I'll draw for you next time.
Yeah, we don't want to give it all away this time. We don't want to give them everything this time. No, it's been absolutely. We're holding a little bit back for October, because we'll all be getting chilly again. We will have gone through the summer, and we'll need some uplifting. Yeah, drawing would be great. You could do some of those warm-up drawings.
I know. Oh, fingers are ready now. I have to sit on them. My girls are always telling me, you use my hands too much. I'm always sort of very conscious of that. So sit on them.
Sit on your hands. Oh, it's been brilliant. Thank you so much. Been generous as always. Can't wait for tomorrow when we're going to be talking to Edith, and then Vincent. You can ask him a bit about the pop in, and then we can have a two-way conversation about the colour, use of colour. Oh, it's risky. It is.
That could be an exhibition, couldn't it? Artists that don't normally use colour.
Using colour. And we get
colour.
Louisa into colour. Oh, it's hard, I think. So thank you, Carole.
Thank you,
everybody who's been watching.
Thank you.
I've thoroughly enjoyed chatting to you, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow when I'll be chatting to Edith. So I'll say good night for now, and we'll see you all again tomorrow. Take care, Carole. Bye.
Thank you. Bless you.